Audition for First Login, written by Jason Cheek. Submitted for the approval of the rights holders by Jason Hill. The transition to the game came quickly as I suddenly fell off my stiff body, sitting in the cold, hard ground. Standing up, I stretched, looking out towards the glorious reds and yellows of the morning sunrise as the sun peaked above the trees of the meadow. I'd have to remember to find a bed inside a warm building next as I hopped up and down to get my circulation moving to warm up quicker. I felt the sun loosen up the kinks in my muscles as I turned around and entered the House of Caden camp. "Sir Statham, it's good to see you back," the grizzled guard standing at the entrance to the camp said as he saw me approach. I recognized him, and the younger guard from the night before. "Lady Kyra said you were going to build us a place to get us out of the snow." "Morning, Clarn," I nodded to the older elf. "Morning, Dalar. Any word of Lady Alana?" "I believe she still hadn't woken up yet, sir," Clarn said as both guards pointedly eyed the unmoving zombie standing guard around the perimeter. "By chance, can either of you direct me to Lady Kiara?" "She should be eating breakfast, sir," Clarn said, pointing towards the cook fires. As I began walking past, the old elf called out to me, "Sir Statham, if you need anything, please let us know." Seeing the earnest look in both elves' eyes, I nodded my thanks and headed towards the delicious smell of grilled wolf meat. Greeting Mariana and getting 2 skewers, I turned towards the seated NPCs only to see Kiara heading towards me. "Morning, Kiara. It's good to see her among the living this morning, Statham," the old woman said, looking pointedly at my shredded leathers. "Clan said you had a busy evening." "Something like that." I grimaced, thinking about the wave of fangs I dealt with the night before. Finishing my first skewer, I nodded towards the piles of wooden wolves. "Mind if we walk and talk?" Seeing Kiara nod to continue, I stuffed the last of the meat into my mouth. Wiping the grease from my chin, I mumbled a thank you to Mariana with a full mouth. Giving her the empty skewers, I began walking with the old elf woman a step behind me. Everyone's eyes in the camp watched us as we made our way to the entrance of the camp. The NPCs that I saw as we walked looked much healthier than the day before, but all in all, everyone still looked pretty banged up and weak. Calling the barricade an entrance at this point was somewhat of a misnomer, since all that was left of the tents that had made up the perimeter were just burnt-out ash on the ground, but it was as good a point of reference as any. I've been doing some thinking this morning about the whole situation with the House of Caden ceasing to exist in 6 days. In truth, there was a lot that needed to be done, and not a lot of time to do it in. If I was going to be taking the continued existence of these NPCs into my hands, then these people needed to work with me on making the recovery of our house a priority. I didn't know how flexible the software AI was that controlled the personalities of these NPCs, but now was the time to find out. Otherwise, I feared I wouldn't complete the quest within the allotted time. Stepping a little further away from the 2 guards, I came to a stop. "Tell me what's the situation with Alana?" I asked, lowering my voice for Kiara's ears only. Kiara suddenly looked older as she contemplated my words before responding. "Alana is not dead, but she's dying. I'm afraid she pushed herself too hard raising the zombies all at once to protect the camp. Between that and the invasion, the flight through the wild, the attack from the Light Elves, and then the battle with the Goblin Raiders, it was too much too soon. I fear her body couldn't take the strain." Kiara's words trailed away as she looked away uncomfortably. "How much time before she passes away? And what will happen to the zombies once she does?" Kiara's eyes intently studied my face as she spoke. "It could be 1 day, or 6. I don't know. Her body still lives, but—" Seeing the tears, I held the old woman in my arms, trying to comfort her as she cried. Getting her emotions under control once again, Kiara pushed me away to arm's length, answering my second question. "The zombies will once again become feral beasts, and will be a danger to all." I nodded to myself at her words. It was another piece to the puzzle. The undead was an effective but dangerous resource. What resources do you have? Seeing her confused look, I explained further. Money, crafting items, food, clothing, blankets. Kiara's eyes never left my face. Between the fires and the attacks, we only have the clothes on our backs and what you've given us. Possibly a handful of copper coins and a silver. Why? I'm going to save House Caden by whatever means it takes. Either we are in this together, or we will fail. I have a plan that I believe will work, but I'll need the help of everyone here that's healthy enough to work, chipping in to make it succeed. I might ask people to do some things they're not comfortable with, but I don't see any other way around it if we're going to save our people. Will you support me in this? What is it that you want our people to do? Kiara carefully asked as she searched my eyes. Ilana gave me the first quest for saving our people, which were food and shelter for all the survivors. She said we'd go to the next step of saving House Caden, but now she's not able to tell me how to save our people. You, Kiara, can. I will honor my word. All the wood that I've gathered will go into building 2 longhouses and defenses with enough room for everyone to live inside, but I'll need lots of help debarking the logs and building our homes. The food and skins I've gathered are to feed and clothe our people, but I'll need help preparing the skins, cooking the meat and crafting the armor, clothing and whatever else we need to equip our people with to survive the elements and the dangers we face. Once we have that completed, I'll need help locating Broken Fang Hold, so I can find Ren Laird Darrell's symbol of power band, figure out how to defeat Marigoth Gutripper before the time runs out. Unflinchingly, I held the old woman's gaze. Can I count on our people's help when needed? Can you accept my leadership, Kiara? Aye, Statum. Show us you're worthy, and in time we will accept your leadership. Will that work for you, young Nufar? Kiara asked with a gruff humph as she gripped my arms tightly. That's more than fair, Kiara. Giving the old biddy one last hug, I turned us back to piles of logs and dead wolves. I'm going to put together several drawl knives and then get to work building the longhouses. I'll need as many bodies as I can to prepare the logs and get the structures put together. Also, maybe you can have Taya and Morona manage 2 teams to get the wolves skinned and the meat processed. I can do that, Kiara said as she eyed the work that needed to be done. I should be able to get you 10 or 15 helpers in half an hour, my lord. Kiara, stardom is fine. If you're going to be our leader, then you must act the part, Kiara said, immediately cutting me off mid-sentence. Do we understand each other, my lord? Yeah. Yes, we do, Lady Kiara. With a wry nod, I dismissed the crafty old woman and got to work. I understood her surprisingly well. Kiara was still the boss, but she was willing to work with me to get what was needed for her people. For our people. Her recognition of my leadership position to the rest of the survivors would allow me to order people around as needed for getting the camp built. Also, she recognized that their lives depended upon me successfully completing the quest. Once I had the symbol of power, and Marigoth Gutripper was destroyed, we'd see where we stood. But for now, this was something I could work with. Going through my pile of goblin equipment, I pulled out 5 of the short swords I'd set aside. Using my rockjaw chopper, I crafted a crude handle around 10 inches long to fit over the tips of the swords, which basically gave me a 30-inch wide blade with approximately 2-inch handles on each end. I mentally dismissed the character attribute window that kept popping up as I worked. I didn't need to see what skills I was learning or which levels were increasing. I just needed to be able to build what I needed.